All right, hi, and welcome to the Fantasy Six Pack NFL Draft Round 1 recap. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. Joining me today is Dylan Clemons. What's going on, man?
Not much, Joe. Just try to recover from night one of the draft. It was fantastic. A little bit of chalk to start, but
Yeah,
eventually things started to pick up, and then it got crazy here
yeah.
with the Falcons. So
Very heavy offensive drafts. You and me were talking last night, and we were like, "Oh yeah, what's the game plan for tomorrow's show?" And we were like, "Yeah, we'll just cover the offensive guys." Little did we know there were 23 total offensive players that were going to be drafted. Thankfully, some of them are offensive line, and we're not going to dig into those too much for fantasy purposes. But just know that, look, anytime you can get protection for your quarterback, that's a good thing.
yeah,
So of course, if you're here and you're watching, we appreciate it. And just want to remind you to go hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave those 5-star reviews. We appreciate it. We love hearing from you. And of course, jump over to fantasy6pack.net and become an all access member where you can get access to all of our rankings, all of our cheat sheets that we'll have ready for fantasy football and projections. And of course, over on Discord, you get access to all the premium channels where you can ask all of us your custom league questions, waiver wires, draft strategies, whatever it is. We go into those answers pretty deep there for you over on Discord. So to help you out as much as possible. So without further ado, man, let's jump into the number 1 overall pick, which was probably the least shocking pick ever. Uh, Mr. Caleb Williams went to the Chicago Bears. Quick thoughts on him and the impact he's going to have.
yeah, man. I couldn't be any more excited
Right, as a
as a
Bears
Bears fan. Yeah, man, it's awesome. But so far, the Bears have done everything they can to set Caleb up for success. You know, they already had DJ Moore there trading for Keenan Allen. Gerald Everett coming over. They got Cole Kmet later on in the draft. Spoiler alert, they drafted another wide receiver to help him out. By doing that, Joe, I feel like Caleb might have a CJ Stroud-esque ceiling this year at his rookie year. And CJ had some real highs. He also had some lows, but he ended up finishing as QB 11 on a points per game basis. And I think we could see something similar from Caleb this season. I'm curious, you as an expert ranker, like where do you think you're gonna rank him week 1 heading into the season?
So I've done my preseason, I did pre-draft. Now we know, of course, we knew the landing spot for Caleb Williams, so that helped a lot with him. My early rankings for Caleb Williams, let me go look. I don't memorize it. Was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 17.
Okay.
A little lower. I mean, look, I'm still a little hesitant on rookie quarterbacks. Look, I know a lot of people are going to do exactly what you just did. Oh, CJ Stroud, like he could do exactly.
Yep.
Careful. That's hard to do, right? You know, usually your rookie quarterbacks that come in and do that are heavy rusher guys, Robert Griffin, guys like that. It's hard to find just more. And I know Caleb can scramble, but he's not a runner per se, like a Robert Griffin or Anthony Richardson. Does he have the arm talent? Sure. But I do also worry a little bit about those turnovers. He's got to get that under control.
Yeah.
He's got to play more within the game plan. He's not going to be able to improvise as much. I know a lot of comps to, Pat Mahomes, he can play outside the script and, stuff like that. But also Pat Mahomes sat for a year and just sort of marinated. Caleb Williams is absolutely going to get thrown into the wolves. Yes, he has a great surrounding team around him. Possibly better than CJ Stroud had, if you want to, argue.
I think it is, to be honest.
I do think that that's an argument that could be well made, but it's still tough to like really go in and be like, oh, QB1. That's not the QB1, but a QB1. That's hard to do for any rookie, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, he might move up, a couple spots here and there. But I think that kind of, 15, 16, 17 range is probably where he's going to end up. There's there's a lot of good quarterbacks. So
that's totally fair. The next guy off the board, Joe, to your Washington Commanders quarterback, Jayden Daniels from LSU. Just what are your quick thoughts here for this offense as a whole and what Jayden's rookie season may look like?
So as a Commanders fan, I've got the hat chilling behind here.
Love it.
It will go on tonight, most likely. I'm also wearing the Monk shirt that our boys over at that run our store created this for me. It's pretty cool. Look, transparency. I totally want to Drake Maye. I just think he is a far more polished quarterback. I'm sick of playing quarterback roulette right now. It's been way too long. I mean, Robert Griffin was supposed to be our answer. Didn't work out because of injury. We had Kirk Cousins and botched that whole situation. And it's just been a train wreck of quarterbacks besides those two since what? 2000, if not before that. I mean, it's been terrible. Jayden Daniels, the ceiling, I get it, is much greater than Maye. And, the coaching staff obviously was enamored enough with just the raw athleticism and talent that he's got to want him higher. I get the reasons for it. I just am a little skeptical that, and I just get worried that, he isn't as polished of a passer, and I still would rather have that in my quarterback than just an athlete. I mean,
would you compare him to like a thin Justin Fields type of guy, in your opinion, or
maybe? Yeah, that's actually not a bad comp. I like that. I mean, like, as awesome as Lamar Jackson is, right? I think there's a reason why the Ravens can't go far in the playoffs, right? They can't get over the hump, right? There's that element that he can't consistently run a passing offense well enough. Look, I know he's got arm talent. He can do it here and there, but I mean, look, he's run first for the most part. And so like maybe Jayden Daniels will prove me wrong. He throws a nice ball, but he's had limited playing time at the college level. But I mean, look, I think year one coming in because of the rushing floor he's gonna have. I think he's gonna have weeks where he's gonna absolutely be a QB1. He's gonna have weeks where he is just terrible. Also, so he will, in my opinion, absolutely finish near the bottom end of the QB2s, just because of turnovers. And I mean, look, we know the Commanders don't exactly have the greatest of offensive weapons around him. I mean, unless Eckler all of a sudden turns back time and can turn into Austin Eckler of past, but I'm not expecting that to happen anytime soon. So that is my take on Daniels here. So moving on here. Whoa, my screen just totally lost its mind. Sorry about that. I just lost some stuff here. So next up here, we've got the quarterback I wanted going to New England, Mr. Drake Maye. Thoughts on Drake Maye landing in New England?
He's someone who can make every throw, right? He's pretty raw, and I think that he's probably gonna sit to start. Jacoby Brissett is back in New England to be the presumed starter until Maye's ready. But you kind of mentioned a little bit before that Jayden Daniels doesn't have a ton of weapons in Washington. Joe, this offensive depth chart for New England doesn't look great itself with the wide receivers they got going on.
I mean,
But
can you name more than one? Can
Kendrick
you name
Bourne,
one?
we got KJ Osborne there. We got Juju
We still have Juju.
Smith-Schuster. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
not pretty. The running game
I
is pretty iffy too. I mean, Ramondre's fine. They got Gibson, but
yep.
I don't know, man. It's gonna
Yeah,
be ugly.
yeah, New England's going to be back at the top of the draft board next year, just because this offense is just going to be so abysmal, just with the lack of weapons. But yeah, I don't think Drake Maye's really fantasy relevant at this point, to be honest with you. So I don't know how much more you want to go in depth there. You got anything to add?
No, he's not. He's not even going to be draftable, in my opinion. He's gonna struggle to even be streamable in a lot of weeks, I would think, just because the offense just isn't going to run very efficient. So, totally agree with you there.
Yep. And then just to continue our string of offensive players, this guy's
It
a
goes
little
on
bit.
for a while.
Yeah, it does. This guy's a little bit more fantasy relevant than what we were going to expect from Drake Maye, and that's Marvin Harrison Jr. going to the Arizona Cardinals. Joe, they finally have their wide receiver one in their offense. What do you expect from him as a rookie coming in here, pairing with quarterback Kyler Murray?
I am super excited about this. I think we could be looking at a guy who I think can easily finish in the wide receiver 2 conversation, and possibly sneak into the bottom end of the wide receiver 1 if things go right. I mean, look, Kyler Murray's a kind of a run first quarterback too, but we've seen him be able to pass the ball. We know, like, D-Hop has success with him. So I think it's there. It's just going to be, the transition to the NFL game for Marvin Harrison. But we know, like, this is one of the most polished receivers to come out of college in a long time.
Yep.
He's very, very good. I mean, if it weren't for this, like, crazy quarterback class, I mean, Marvin Harrison may have been the first offensive player taken off the board. He's that good. Marvin Harrison in even Superflex rookie drafts for dynasty leagues sometimes is going before. Now, Caleb almost hands down always goes 1-1, but Marvin Harrison, I've seen very often going 1-2 with the second pick there. He's that good.
Yeah.
And I think this was a great landing spot for him. Unfortunately, we're going to see some receivers later in this draft that are going to not so great, great spots for their fantasy, especially for this year. Maybe dynasty, you don't downgrade them as much, but for 2024, some of these guys that we're going to get later on in this draft, you're going, man, I like to, but now not so much. But Marvin Harrison is definitely not one of them.
Yeah, Arizona was definitely the best landing spot for a wide receiver. That's for sure.
Yep. So, all right, next up here. So we have a non-fantasy talent here, but Joe Alt from Notre Dame went to the Chargers. And then next up, one of those receivers that I alluded to, not landing in such a great spot. Yeah. Malik Nabers landing with the Giants.
But it's really just not a great spot because of the quarterback play, right? Like, there should be a ton of targets.
You should see 200 targets.
Yeah, for sure. And you can line him up outside. You can line him up inside. It's nice to see. But yeah, he pretty much comes in as he is the best playmaker on this offense just walking in. So I feel like Coach Brian Daboll is going to do anything he can to try and get the ball in his hands. But like you said, Daniel Jones and Drew Lock pairing, it's definitely not ideal. It's going to be some bad quarterback play.
And then you add on the fact that Jones is coming off the ACL. Like, man, I didn't even start the year. Like, so then you're definitely dealing with Drew Lock. Like, does anybody like that? Probably not. I mean, look, Nabers is, you're talking like, he shot up draft boards like as we got closer, but like, he's a supreme talent. Don't get me wrong, and he's super fast. he great catch radius. There's a lot to like about it, but yeah, I think it's not his fault. Quarterback play is really going to hurt his potential, and more it's gonna be the consistency. He's gonna have weeks, man,
Exactly.
where everybody's gonna be like, man, yeah, like he was awesome. But
9
there's gonna be
catches,
weeks where you're
150
like,
yards, and a
yeah,
touchdown.
then you're gonna get weeks where you're like, what happened? Like, where'd it go? Like,
And the offense just looks like complete crap and can't get going. It's just gonna, Joe. It's gonna be interesting to see this offense as a whole moving forward with losing Saquon Barkley
right.
because the offense revolved around him so much.
Exactly.
And now you
Like,
got
maybe it opens things up, but I mean, like, look, we've seen the offense without him before, and it's usually not good. So
yeah, agreed. Moving on, next year, the 7th pick, we had J.C. Latham go tackle out of Alabama to the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee trying to do whatever they can to set Will
they have
Levis
a lot
up
of
to
holes.
succeed.
So
Yeah, for sure. The 8th pick, shocker of the draft, in my opinion. This is when things really started to get crazy, and that was the Atlanta Falcons drafting Michael Penix, quarterback from Washington, after just giving Kirk Cousins $140 million.
100 guaranteed.
Joe, I mean, it's not really going to have any fantasy impact this year for Michael Penix.
Absolutely not.
Just what are your thoughts here at them doing this?
So I was doing the live blog last night on Fantasy Six Pack. Me, Corey, and JJ were all in there doing stuff. And I just remember, like, we were on Slack, and of course I follow a Twitter feed that posts the draft, the picks earlier than the network's show. I just remember seeing the name and being like, that's a joke, right? Like, there's no possible way that the Falcons just drafted a quarterback. And I'm going, where is Keith Fleming? And immediately after, like, everything died down, I had a second. I went on Twitter to go find it. I knew Keith Fleming ranted about it. He was on
I saw the rant too. Yeah,
and I was like, yes, because I remember last year he went off the rails with Bijan. And as much as Bijan's a fantastic player, it was not a need for them. It's like, you just paid. Look, yes, you are right. So before I go off on my rant here about it, Penix Jr., zero value in 2024 unless Kirk Cousins gets hurt. And even if he does, I don't think Penix is ready. I don't think he's NFL like ready yet. He played in an air raid offense. Great numbers. I think he's got a lot of talent, a lot of athleticism. I think he can be good, but he needs to learn a lot. And look, maybe the Falcons are trying to take a playbook, a page out of the Packers playbook, right?
Yep.
Rodgers sat behind Favre, Love sat behind Rodgers, and it worked out, right? Maybe that's what they're trying to do, but man, you just paid a dude to come in and be the guy and kind of saying, we're going to go try to win this now, and then you waste the 8th pick on a quarterback? That seems weird.
Yep, with a team that has so many holes defensively too.
Defensively, offensive line, they needed help. Yep. I mean, they could have used a second receiver still, probably. I know they've got some guys, but I just, outside of London, Mooney, like, is he really the number 2 you want? Like, could you have brought in somebody else? There were some dudes still left on the board that I really thought could have helped them if they wanted to go back into the offensive well. But taking this was very strange for that. And I mean, obviously, there's Kirk Cousins was just like blindsided. Not that I think he needs to be worried about his job, but it's kind of like, what the hell? Like,
right.
That's not what that's not what I signed up for. As much as I dislike the way Rodgers handled things in Green Bay, and he kind of became a prima donna, and but like, he's not wrong in being pissed at the way the Green Bay was drafting. Yeah. They were a game away from the Super Bowl, a couple of games away from the Super Bowl for multiple years. The thing that hurt them was in the playoffs.
Lack of playmakers.
It was him and Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones. And then that was it. Right. And the good defenses were able to shut that down. They had nobody else to throw to. And so they kept drafting like defense or whatever. Right. never gave him any help, and he left. And so I'm not saying the way he handled it was poor, but he wasn't wrong for being mad.
Yep.
But
yeah, no, agreed.
All right, moving on here. So next up, we've got another bear. I don't think I intentionally gave you both bears here to talk about,
like
but Rome Odunze, Washington again, receiver here, going to the Bears to pair up with Caleb Williams. Now, of course, I think the big question here is 2024 value, maybe not so great because he's sitting behind two pretty damn good receivers in Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. So what's your thoughts?
I love it for Caleb Williams, like I already talked about earlier, but I'm kind of looking at it like the Seahawks offense last year, Joe. They got the Bears signed Shane Waldron to be the OC. Seahawks drafted Jackson Smith-Njigba last year, and he sat behind Tyler Lockett and DK. You saw Jackson Smith-Njigba show flashes throughout the season, but he was never someone that you could really rely on. And I kind of think that's going to be around the same for Rome this year. He's going to make big plays because that's what he does. He's a bigger wide receiver, good catch radius, decent speed. But yeah, I don't think that he's going to be someone that you can consistently put in your lineups weekly for this season. But as a dynasty asset, I think you have to love it, especially pretty much with Keenan Allen. We're kind of assuming here just there on a 1-year rental to try and help out.
Things go well. Maybe they can get him back. But
yep.
The other thing to consider here is, we know Keenan Allen has issues staying on the field.
Very true too.
Not quite as injury prone as people want to label him. Sometimes I feel that's not fair, but that is a concern. So those types of situations, I think, that's where getting somebody like him really helps. Helps out this offense, just keep it humming. So yeah, I love the pick. Honestly, I think this is exactly what they needed to do. Is just, go all in on Caleb Williams. Why not?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. It's the complete opposite of what they did for Justin Fields his first couple years in his career. A lot of that had to do with Justin Fields just failing because he has too many flaws, and I get that now. But the Bears definitely did not set him up for a ton of success.
No, absolutely not. It was terrible.
Yep. Then after the Roma dudes they pick at 9, Joe, we have another quarterback off the board with the Minnesota Vikings trading up to pick 10 with the Jets and drafting J.J. McCarthy. He's kind of been linked to Kevin O'Connell through this entire draft process. It was kind of the chalk pick, and it might, to be honest with you, might be the best scenario for where he landed. I'm curious to hear your thoughts here.
I mean, can we get any more Kirk Cousins, like complete, like same, like replace, like
right?
Basically, I think for some reason when I think of JJ McCarthy, I think of Kirk Cousins. Like it's just, I don't know why. It just they just seem like the same type of player. Yeah, man, this is a fantastic landing spot for JJ McCarthy. Now the offensive line is going to have to get bolstered up a little bit. It's decent, but not great. But I mean, talk about weapons, man. Justin Jefferson, arguably the best receiver in the league. Jordan Addison was phenomenal last year. If TJ Hawkinson, once he's healthy again, they brought in Aaron Jones. They've still got Ty Chandler. This is a great offense. And I mean, we saw some of the backups for Kirk Cousins come in and thrive. I think JJ McCarthy is one of the, in the right situation, and this is the right situation for him, one of the more pro-ready quarterbacks. And, the thing with JJ McCarthy is he's not going to try to do too much. Right. He will let the game come to, you don't want to call him a game manager, but like he doesn't make the bad play, right? To where some of these other quarterbacks that were drafted ahead of him, not to say he's better than them, but will try to be the hero in the moment, right? We saw that with Caleb Williams a lot, right? In college. That's why the turnovers went up, right? He goes unscripted and tries to make a play that's not there, and boom. JJ McCarthy takes what's given to him. He can also, man, they were showing some clips last night, and like, I watched a fair number of Michigan games last year. But like I didn't realize like some of the throws he fits into like these really tight spaces, man. He's got a cannon. So like he might not be the sexiest pick of like of all the quarterbacks, but he's gonna be a good pro. And landing in this spot is phenomenal for him. And I guarantee you he's going to be streamable a lot of weeks, if not like just straight up startable in a lot of weeks because of who he's got around him.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Do you think that he starts from day one over Sam Darnold, or do you think they're going to do the whole bridge type of quarterback?
I mean,
with Darnold
if they don't start him over Sam Darnold, I think it's only a couple of weeks, dude. I think
that makes sense.
It's going to get old real quick with Sam Darnold. Unless Sam Darnold has the start to the season like he did with Carolina a couple of seasons ago.
He's leading the league in
like 6 rushing touchdowns in 3 weeks or whatever. Like, nah.
Yeah.
It ain't going to happen. Dude, we've seen Sam Darnold enough that we know this doesn't work. So, I mean, Sam Darnold could be sneaky too, but nah. Yeah. I'm good.
Agreed.
I'm good.
Agreed.
All right. Where are we at? It's my turn. Sorry.
Yep.
It is my turn.
Yeah,
so next up was, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce the first name all the way. Neither did the broadcast. Olu Fashanu, a tackle for Penn State, went to the Jets. Smart move by them. If they have any chance in hell of competing, they've got to keep Aaron Rodgers upright. We know that for a fact. They don't even have Zach Wilson behind him. Not that that was any good, but yeah, they've got to get something there for him to stay upright. Now back to the QB. Well, Bo Nix to the Denver Broncos a day after they just traded for Mr. Zach Wilson. So that was interesting. Not totally surprising that you don't believe in Zach Wilson, but I was a little bit shocked. I'm not going to lie. What's your thoughts here?
I don't know, man. This surprised me. I knew Denver was desperate for a quarterback, but for Bo Nix to be drafted with the 12th overall pick, I want to say he's already 25 or so. But to be honest with you, I don't hate the landing spot for him, Joe. Like he's known as more of like a horizontal passer, and that's kind of what Sean Payton at times thrived in with Drew Brees as his quarterback, who didn't have a ton of arm talent. So, and going to Sean Payton, we've seen him have pretty solid quarterback play, but it's him, Jarrett Stidham, and Zach Wilson in that quarterback room, man. Like this offense this year for fantasy.
Who's he learning behind?
Right. This offense as a whole for fantasy could be a little ugly this season outside of Javonte Williams, maybe. But yeah, this was definitely one of the most interesting picks, probably right behind the Michael Penix pick. Did you see the Bo Nix pick coming, Joe, when Denver was on the clock?
I mean, what? No, it did shock me. Although once I saw it, I went, you know what? I mean, it makes sense. The Penix getting drafted where he did really threw things for a loop. Like that made the panic. Like this should have been Penix, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Not Bo Nix. Bo Nix did not belong in the first round.
Nope.
Especially pick 12, right? And there's nobody in the back end of the draft that needed a quarterback. So Bo Nix should not have been a first rounder. Period. Penix is a first rounder based off of upside. Bo Nix is like, I mean,
all the upside's tapped out, man.
He's like,
he is what he is.
It's funny, you know, I've heard comps of like, you know, he's Alex Smith. Alex Smith was a good pro.
Yeah.
Fine. He'll be a good pro. Did he really win anything? No. That's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
He's got arm strength. He can, you know, he's going to be a smart quarterback. got a lot of miles on him, so he's very experienced.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be all right, but I don't think we're going to be talking too much about Bo Nix.
No, I don't think so either. But I am hoping that we're going to be talking about this next guy quite a bit this year in his rookie season. And going 13th overall to the Las Vegas Raiders, that is tight end Mr. Brock Bowers. And Joe, if don't forget, last year they used a high draft pick, mid-second round pick on Michael Mayer at the tight end position. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this fit for Brock Bowers in Vegas.
This is horrible on all sides, in my opinion. Not only did Vegas not need Brock Bowers, right? Like you just drafted Michael Mayer, who was supposed to be this like phenomenal pass catching tight end. Yes, Brock Bowers way above that. Like we get the talent of Bowers is a tremendous pass catcher, right? But I'm not really sure, like, if you're trying to compete in Vegas, did you need Bowers or did you need anything else? Right? I mean, now fair to say Vegas was probably looking at quarterback possibly.
Yeah, was
that
this just
didn't work either?
Was this
I don't know. This was just
them?
best player available.
Yeah. Right.
Period. I mean, Brock Bowers was top 5 on every big board I saw, if not top 2 or 3. It was Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison, and Brock Bowers, 1, 2, 3 in a lot of spots. So I get it. It's just a weird fit to me. I don't like it for fantasy because quarterback play, like we talked about with the Giants and Nabers, quarterback play in Vegas is not going to be good. So Bowers, as talented as he is also going to have to compete with 2 pretty damn good receivers, right? Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers.
Target hog too, Devontae.
Yeah, Adams, I mean, so Bowers isn't gonna get the. It's reminding me of Kyle Pitts. Everybody's gonna buy in on Brock Bowers, like, oh, he should be so good, but then it's just not gonna work because the offense sucks, and there's just nothing you can do about it.
Yep.
And so
he might be the third target getter on the offense.
I'm out on Bowers for 2024 because I know he's going to get drafted way too high. He's going to be somebody who is very popular. I mean, I had him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I had him 10th. He's probably going to drop a couple spots now at this point.
Yeah, I believe it. Especially with the emergence of some tight ends we had last year too. So
yeah. So all right. Now we get a little bit of a breather, man. I was my fingers were tired last night typing super early. So after pick 13, we get quite a break of non offensive fantasy players and a bunch of defensive guys, but just try to rip through a bunch of these as quick as possible here. So we got Talis Fuaga, tackle from Oregon State, going to the Saints. Laitu Latu.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Edge rusher going to the Colts. Byron Murphy, the second D tackle from the Texas Longhorns, going to Seattle. Dallas Turner, edge rusher, going to Bama, or from Bama going to the Vikings. Love that pick. I really do think the Vikings and the Bears, man, like one day one, in my opinion. They did fantastic. Amarius Mims, offensive tackle from Georgia, going to the Bengals. They got it. They had to protect Joe Burrow. Again, another one of those kind of same thing the Jets did, right? Like you got to protect your biggest asset there, right? Jared Verse, edge from Florida State, going to the Rams. I mean, I get it. They're trying to replace Aaron Donald. It ain't gonna happen, but good luck.
No.
But I get it. Trey Fontenot, tackle from Washington, going to the Steelers. Chop Robinson, edge rusher from Penn State, going to the Dolphins. Quinyon Mitchell, quarterback from Toledo, going to the Eagles. And now we finally get back to offense. Brian Thomas Jr., the other LSU receiver, and I say other, not because he's bad, but just because he's not Nabers, but also a 1,000-yard receiver for LSU, going to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yes.
What you got?
I like this one for the quarterback play, and he's sliding right into the Calvin Ridley role, who, from all accounts, they were supposedly shocked that Calvin Ridley got out the door. Like they had all the plans in the world to sign him, and just Tennessee just came in and swooped him away. Jacksonville did sign Gabe Davis. So you're looking at Zay Jones, Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas. Like I said, pretty good weapons for Trevor Lawrence. They also have Evan Ingram at tight end. Not sure there's going to be a ton of room for Brian Thomas to be big time fantasy relevant this year. Maybe we see a couple of weeks flashes here and there.
Christian Kirk, I don't know. You mentioned him, right?
No, I didn't. That's even another one.
Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk, Dave Davis,
Zay
Jones, Brian Thomas Jr. Yeah, those three plus Ingram. It's a busy room.
Yeah, definitely have some depth at the position. So probably not much fantasy relevance from Thomas this year, but moving forward, I will be curious to see how things play out.
Yeah, I think this is a better pick for like Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
Than it is for Thomas, and honestly, it kind of just muddles the water, and for all the playmakers on that team. So, but yeah, I mean, great pick overall. For it's more of a good NFL pick than a fantasy pick, especially for 2024. But we'll see what happens. And I made a joke last night. I was on the IDP Plus show toward the end of the night. I made a joke. Well, Brian Thomas will be relevant for like half the games because we know Gabe Davis decides to like not play half the season.
Take those ones off.
He just takes games off, but we'll see.
For sure. I wonder how far that pushes him down dynasty boards too in rookie drafts with him falling behind those three other receivers. I wonder if you're looking at
I don't know,
second round or something.
So like the IDP Plus guys are more focused. We're more focused on the dynasty aspect of a lot of this, and like when I kind of dogged the Nabers pick, I didn't do it live with them, but afterwards I was asking them about it, and they were just like, well, he's not going to slip very far, and I was like, for 2024 he's gonna be terrible, and they're like, oh yeah, but a dynasty, and I kind of caught on that they're all like kind of dynasty brained, and so like from what I was kind of hearing from them is that you don't really discount dynasty based off of year one. You're at least with some of these guys, you're looking, 2-3 years down the road. And so Tom, I don't think like if Thomas falls a couple spots for it, just hope you're the guy who can benefit from it.
Yeah. Yep. No doubt there. Next pick we had after Brian Thomas was the Lions trading up to get Terry and Arnold, cornerback from Alabama.
It was a fantastic trade.
Yes, it was. Jumped division rival, the Packers, who ended up going with offensive tackle Jordan Morgan. Now we had 26th pick, Graham Barton, going to Tampa Bay Buccaneers out of Duke. Darius Robinson out of Missouri goes 27th to the Cardinals. And then Joe, the Chiefs, Super Bowl champion Chiefs, jump up, trade with the Bills, which was interesting. Draft the wide receivers who I feel like the Bills may have needed.
Yes.
And they draft Xavier Worthy, the guy who set the combine record for the fastest 40 out of Texas. Joe, how are you feeling about Xavier Worthy in this offense?
I'm not.
I feel you, man. It didn't.
Let's be real. Like Xavier Worthy, like he's a burner. I get it.
Just MVS replacement straight up. Kadarius Toney replacement straight up, maybe.
I think what they're trying to do is replace Tyreek still.
Yeah, because they haven't done a good job doing
it. And I get it. Like, and you're gonna hear, and I said it on the show last night that I was on. You're gonna hear a lot of lazy analysis where people are just gonna go, "Oh, they got their Tyreek. They got Tyreek. This is gonna be the Tyreek replacement." No. And even if it is, he's not going to be relevant for like a year and a half, right? If we remember, Tyreek played a lot of special teams and was like a gadget player for the first year or so until he kind of learned how to play within an NFL system, because he had to learn to be able to. I mean, Xavier Worthy is like 165 pounds soaking wet. This guy is tiny. He's gonna have to beef up a little bit in order to be able to play in the pros. Smaller guys are now becoming a little more a little more useful in the NFL with
Yeah.
the way that
Devonta
the game
Smith
is
and stuff. Yep.
changing. But 165 pounds, this guy's smaller than me.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's not 6
he's an
foot. He's
inch
only
taller than
5'11".
me,
Mhm.
10 pounds lighter than me. I'm not a big dude. I'm not playing NFL football. I also don't run a 4.2 40. But it, I just don't see how he gets into the offense enough to be relevant in 2024.
Yeah.
Dynasty, fine. Go take your late first round dart throw on him because, of course, he's got Pat Mahomes. You just gotta be patient with him. I'm gonna have a feeling.
Yeah, they're probably going to use him more as like a gadget type guy this season, just to figure out ways to get the ball in his hand, have a package for him and all that. But yeah, I don't see Xavier Worthy being a huge part of this.
I've got a couple of different like draft guides up, kind of going, just as kind of quick note pulls for certain guys when I was doing this. And I had the ringer up at the time that this got pulled in. And literally the only like so they have like little highlighted like notes for like or for some of their like positive traits for all the different players. It's usually like playmaker, footwork, good catch radius for receivers, stuff like that. Literally 4 different times. Speed.
Yeah,
that's all they had for Worthy. It's like, yeah, no kidding. So it'll be interesting. Plus, I mean, is it fair to say that the coaching staff there does not use rookies right out of the gate very often?
Right.
I mean, that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to trust about the right out the get go either.
Yeah. So, all right, nearing the end here. Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle from Oklahoma, went to the Cowboys. Nate Wiggins, cornerback from Clemson, went to the Ravens. I didn't care for that one. That was an interesting one. There was other guys on the board that I thought would get picked if they were going to go corner.
Yeah.
Did
Kool-Aid or something?
Well, the dude from Iowa actually shocked me that he never even got drafted.
Yeah.
Like, something's gonna come out on him. I feel like I don't understand that one. He was like the top rated corner on a lot of boards.
Yeah.
But next up for receiver, we had 2 receivers to close out the draft here. Both kind of shocking picks in my opinion. But San Fran went with Ricky Pearsall from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to break down here, honestly. And it's not just him.
Yeah. No, I think for fantasy or for dynasty stuff, I like it because it sounds like there's going to be a move to be made in San Francisco at some point here. At first, it was thought to be Brandon Ayuk, but then I don't know, Joe, if you saw the report this morning talking about they may be more likely to trade Debo now than Ayuk. And I kind of think that's where Ricky Pearsall kind of fits in a little bit more with him playing so much in the slot as a college player. But for this season, and if they have all these pieces on this offense, I don't see Ricky Pearsall being fantasy relevant at all. And like you touched on it with the Chiefs, not really trusted rookies. If you remember Brandon Ayuk as a rookie, he was in the Kyle Shanahan doghouse for a very long time because of not wanting to pass block, run block and stuff like that. So I'm a little worried there. But yeah, for me, I'm not super high on Ricky Pearsall heading into 2024. But in Dynasty, I'm pretty intrigued with him getting first round draft capital. What are your thoughts here, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of agree with you. I think he's more of the replacement for Debo than Ayuk. He's got more of a skill set that fits the Debo like replacement. Honestly, I don't know if they want a true Debo replacement. I don't know if they want to have a guy who they have to kind of hand the ball off to a bunch and take carries away from CMC and things like that. At the same time too, though, like, is it a true replacement? I mean, Debo's a big dude.
Yeah.
I mean, not tall, big. He's 5'11". He's 215.
Yeah, he's thick.
He's a big dude.
Thick.
That's not Pearsall, right? Pearsall's 189, 6'1". So not only is he taller, he's lighter, so more Slater frame, but he's very athletic. Like he gets the ball in space and he can make things happen. But yeah, this is an interesting one. Like there is absolutely a move coming.
Mhm.
There's a lot of talk, right, that because the Bills have traded out of the first round, it gave them all day today to talk to the 49ers and get one of them. They've got the first pick in the second round.
Yep.
They've got 2 picks in the second round, I believe, 2 picks in the third round, a pick in the fourth, 4 picks in the fifth, a 6 in the seventh. They've got a boatload of picks. Or so I might have botched a couple of that, but they've got a lot of picks.
Mhm.
So, does San Fran want to acquire, 2 or 3 of those plus somebody else or something? I don't know, to get a Debo, and does that fix Buffalo's needs? I don't know
Yeah.
either. But Pearsall isn't really somebody that I'm totally eyeing for fantasy. I mean, even if Debo is gone, you're still behind CMC. You're still behind Ike. You're still behind
Yeah.
Kittle. There's just, I mean, like we saw it time and time again where it's tough to trust. It's like
So
which
many
of the
options.
49er pass catcher each week is going to be the guy that blows up. And is the rookie going to be the one that we're going to trust? And probably more often than not, no.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I tend to agree there. Then, Joe, we got one more guy here. The 32nd pick, the Panthers trade up into the first round to get that 5th-year option for Xavier Leggette out of South Carolina. Interesting prospect. He is a guy who, coming into the Senior Bowl, was listed at 6'3", 6'4", and then just measured at 6'1".
yeah,
But he's kind of a burner here, Joe. So what are your thoughts with Leggette going to Carolina?
yeah. I mean, athletic guy.
Mhm.
Very fast. I thought there were better receivers still on the board. I mean, Keon Coleman. What happened to his draft stock?
No, it just
I mean, this
You
dude
got
made.
Donnie Mitchell too out there still, the other Texas receiver, Lad
Yeah,
McConkey.
you got Roman Wilson. There's a lot of dudes out there that I was shocked that Carolina's going to trade back into the first round and take this guy instead. Like, look, I've read about it. Like I said, I didn't do any of the scouting myself. I'm just reading notes from a lot of people, and
Yep.
like that was not the next receiver up on the board on any board I was looking at last night. So this one shocked me. Really, I'm not interested in him at all. I need to see more from the offense. I need to see more from Bryce Young. We had a great start to the season from, and I'm blanking on his name right now. The old
Adam Thielen.
Vikings, Adam Thielen, but that fell off pretty quickly too. Like he started
Yeah.
not being super fantasy relevant near the end. Bryce Young's really gonna have to take a step forward in year 2. They got to give him protection too. So that
I know they
I
tried to help that in free agency, getting him protection. They also got Deontay Johnson there, a wide receiver too. So I think we'll find some things out from Bryce Young this year.
yeah. But yeah, I mean
Whether they good
they
or be bad.
I mean, I'm reading team needs for Carolina with wide receiver was number 1 for them, but I mean, you gotta wonder, like offensive line for them was so bad last year. But I mean, maybe some of that was just Bryce Young not processing things fast enough too, and he likes to try to like scramble out a lot of times. He did the Bama too, where you could scramble out, but like he had premier playmakers and talent around him to be able to to get the plays done. But yeah, we shall see. So I guess we kind of already said it, but biggest surprise for me was obviously Penix. I think that was number 1. I think who would have been your biggest loser out of
Out of the
round 1?
as players or as a team?
Either one.
Ooh, that's I really didn't like the Bo Nix pick, to be honest with you. I don't think that was a great move by Denver, even though they needed a quarterback.
Agreed.
Mine
was Bowers. I think Bowers. Any excitement that we had for him, for year one was like, oh no.
even Michael Penix, Michael Penix, Joe, him going to Atlanta, now he's got to sit for 2 years behind Kirk. It's like he just killed all
that. Actually might be better for his like dynasty outlook too.
Eventually,
honestly. Yeah. Anybody left on the board? I know I didn't prepare you for any of this, but anybody left on the board that you're looking at, like you're super excited to see where they go in day 2 here? That's just starting in about 5 hours as we record.
For me, it's not fantasy relevant, but Jerzon Newton from Illinois, who's just seems to be tumbling down the draft board. He's the defensive tackle, Joe, and I watch a lot of Illinois football. He just completely wrecked games for them last year, and I've heard some rough stuff with his medicals with his foot, but I'm definitely curious to see where he goes. I like me some Lad McConkey too, Joe. I think he can slide right into a slot role somewhere for whoever drafts him, and I think that he can be NFL relevant, 40, 50 catches right away if he lands in the right spot. Who are you thinking here?
Yeah, I mean, I already mentioned you mentioned one, Mitchell from Texas. I think it'd be interesting to see where he goes. I still think Keon Coleman started sliding down drafts. Dude, this guy made so many.
I know,
just highlight reel catches last year. This dude has an amazing control of his body, and sometimes, man, we see these guys that may not be the best, route running players. They just have that body control and that just throw the ball my way attitude. He feels like that guy.
Yeah.
He's just amazing playmaker. And look, we saw no running backs go on day one. Not a surprise
I was just going to bring that
Not
up
a surprise at all. I think Dallas is in dire need of a running back still. So it'd be interesting to see if they go after, the Troy Benson, right? There was some talk, I think it was more jokes from Twitter, oh, they're gonna draft Troy Benson in round 1 and ha ha ha. That'd be kind of a joke, right? They should not do that, and thankfully they didn't. Or Jonathan Brooks, that I think actually that would probably be the better pick. Is what I meant to say. For some reason, the list I'm looking at now has Trey Benson higher, so I just kind of said his name at first, but I meant Jonathan Brooks. But still, Blake Corum I think is going to go day 2 too. We're gonna see these running backs start falling, and that's going to be very interesting to see. And you see a lot of rookie running backs kind of finding immediate success in year 1 than you do receivers and quarterbacks and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So, but it's got to be with the right team. They can't fall into massive timeshares. They can't be behind,
right.
Somebody goes to the Eagles, then toast. Goodbye.
Like you said, whoever goes to Dallas, it's wheels up for them just because there's such a need at the running back position.
Absolutely.
There's talks maybe Zeke goes back.
They're talking to Zeke again. It's no, exactly. Please don't stop it. I would love that. I'm a Commanders fan.
Right.
You all you want, Dallas. Have fun.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
please. Can I just laugh at you some more?
Love it.
But all right, man. Well, that was a fun round 1. I'm looking forward to day 2 here, round 2 and round 3. So we will, of course, be doing our live blog right on the site, fantasysixpack.net. We left at the top of the page for you. I'll be tweeting it out as well. Again, me, JJ, and Corey hitting that up. I think Keith Lott's going to be jumping in tonight. He was a little busy with all the Twitter stuff he was doing last night. That was a lot. So, thank you Keith for doing that. That was awesome. But all right, that's it for me, man. And we will see you all later.
Thanks, Joe.